Ladies, gentlemen, and Haradrim of all ages, it's been less than a day since the last time that we covered Diablo 4 news, and of course within an hour of releasing that video we got even more information about the game and for Season 1, so here I am, back in your ear holes with more to talk about when it comes to this season in Diablo 4. No, I won't apologize for saying it that way, don't ask me to. Our main source of new info comes in from a brand new interview that was done with a couple of the devs by Forbes, and they actually got pretty candid about a couple of questions the community has wondered, but not been given straight up answers on up to this point. Past that, a couple more of the Malignant Heart effects have been found, so we now know what 3 out of the 32 can do, including one of the Wrathful Hearts, which are the especially powerful ones that can go into any color of the socket, so that's actually really cool to see as an example of what they can do. Without further ado then, let's break into the Forbes interview itself and talk about the important stuff that was covered within. First up, we got two interesting and important things to keep in mind. The first of which is that Season 1 is going to be relatively light on content compared to future Diablo 4 seasons. This one was developed alongside the game itself as far as actually shipping it out, in an environment where a lot of the team that works on the game was focused more on the full game than the season itself. This was done in an effort to get a season into our hands as soon as physically possible after release, but it also means that it will likely be smaller in terms of content compared to future seasons. They said to expect this not to be the standard for seasons, so much as somewhat on the low end of seasonal content, at least as far as sheer size. Past that, we got some more info on the seasonal questline as well, and the main thing is just confirmation that this questline will not be all that long. It isn't meant to act like a second campaign for the game or anything like that. It won't be split into acts by any means. It will just be a short series of quests meant to introduce you to the season as a whole and its mechanics, as well as explaining a bit of the lore behind it all, rather than just thrusting you in and saying, good luck, you work it out. There will still be multiple quests for it. It will still take a bit of your time early on, but don't plan on it being a full-on second campaign or anything like that. They expect you to be done with this pretty quick. They've also stated that at no point in Season 1 specifically will there be time-gated quests or story stuff that unlocks later on that you can't access right from the beginning. Everything will be there day one, though they also said that they reserve the right to do that kind of thing in future seasons too, if they choose to do so. Past that, we got a bit more understanding on the rate that we will be gaining Battle Pass levels. They specifically said that your character will not need to be anywhere near level 100 to reach the final rank of the Battle Pass. What I do find interesting here is it is stated that rank 100 of the Battle Pass, though they've also specifically stated that there are 27 free tiers of the Battle Pass and 63 premium tiers, which of course adds up to 90 tiers. They've stated in an article on their official website literally a week ago that there are 90 tiers to the Battle Pass, and I have to assume this was just a misunderstanding from the writer of the interview article on Forbes, as Blizzard's own info on it was too recent to think that it could have changed since then, but just in case, of course, we'll keep an eye on this to see if something has changed in the Battle Pass too, and we'll let you know if that's the case. They've also stated that you can actually earn Platinum from the Battle Pass, which is a system used in many games. It won't be enough Platinum to straight up purchase the next Battle Pass for free, but it will be enough to alleviate the cost somewhat, or to help you save up for something in the shop instead if you'd rather do that. We also have reconfirmation that the Nightmare Dungeon selection, the rotation, will be different in Season 1 to what it currently is in the Eternal Realm. We already knew that ahead of time that it's something that will be changing every single season, as it's something that they mentioned actually pre-release to the game even. But this is a good reminder for those who have forgotten, meaning that we may not have a super efficient blind burrows to run on repeat as a Nightmare Dungeon as long as you have the sigils, but of course, that said, there will always be a most efficient dungeon. That's just the way it is. A changing rotation just changes which dungeon it will happen to be. Then we also had some slight talks about the balance patch that will be hitting pre-Season 1 happening on the 18th, and they said, yes, this one will actually have some nerfs. As opposed to 1.03, which was purely buffs, this one simply will nerf some things. And I know no one likes to hear that word, but it's going to happen, and I wouldn't worry a massive amount about it either, because not only will they buff some other things too, but Malignant Hearts as part of Season 1 are being hailed as extremely powerful, at least in their opinion, so these will be really big for our builds as well. Our general power level should be going up quite a bit, so if the top end builds are going to be nerfed a little bit, then it should not be that big of a deal overall in the long run. Past that, we have an interesting occurrence here. Apparently, when the interview originally happened, the developer said that none of the new uniques would be in the uber unique tier, the ones with extremely low drop rates that are extremely powerful, but after the interview was released, after the fact, the writer was actually contacted by Blizzard and then had to adjust the article after the fact to say that one of them will actually be an uber unique. And I find this actually really interesting, especially as, well, the main staple of the existence of these items is they're just so unbelievably rare that only a handful of players even have one of them, at least outside of the exploit night that happened last week where 142 players managed to get uber uniques in the span of a couple of hours. The point being, for the average players as it currently stands, these items basically don't exist. They will will never get one in their own gameplay. They will never see someone else even have one in the game itself while they're playing. They'll just hear about them like legends over the internet. Though that said, they say that there may be new ways in the distant future of getting these uber uniques. They could increase the drop rate, they could add new paths to acquiring them. And while they were very vague about what that actually would mean, what it means is that nothing is changing right now. Nothing is changing in Season 1. They aren't increasing their drop rates right now, or even in that season probably, but they are considering the possibility for the future. And the whole alternate paths to acquisition statement makes it sound like they're maybe even considering making a dedicated activity of some sort that has a higher rate of dropping these uber uniques, or even maybe a really long-term system that you can put a ton of time into to get one of them guaranteed if you really grind for it, really grind it out. But that's nothing of actual substance to us right now. It means nothing currently, as again, these are just musings about potential distant future changes, nothing in the immediate future. That said, with us knowing that, not a single one of the uber uniques currently around is class specific, of course, and there's no way that they left this out of the count that they gave us of the new uniques we're getting, and so we know that 6 new uniques are being added in Season 1. We now know that one of those 6 is an uber unique that will apply to all classes, which leaves 5, matching the number of the classes that we have in the game. It is of course possible that all 5 of them will apply to multiple classes, but that would likely make them less useful in general. I consider it extremely unlikely though that they would give some classes a class specific unique, but not all of them. And so of course we are now running under the belief that we are getting one new unique specific to each class, which is what I already thought, along with one uber unique added to that pool too that will be for most of the classes. Past that, we just had a couple more interesting new Malignant Heart effects that were caught by watchful viewers of the recently released content from the Diablo channel itself. We had already seen the Caged Heart of the Bacana, the one that is essentially a mix of 2 existing Druid legendary effects that were merged into one effect that can be used by all classes. But now we have also seen the Caged Heart of Focused Rage. Excuse the picture here, they hovered over it in the footage for literally a quarter of a second, so it was barely even visible, but this one is a Vicious Heart, so one of the orange ones, and it is a Barbarian specific Malignant Heart. The effect reads, after spending 68 Fury within 2 seconds, your next non-basic skill has 34% increased critical strike chance, which actually sounds extremely strong, especially with just how easy it is for Barbarian to spend 68 Fury in an instant if they actually want to. This won't make Whirlwind builds stronger really, as they essentially already reach 100% crit chance, but it will have a notable effect on most other Barb builds. So they've essentially found a way to buff non-Whirlwind builds without nerfing it directly, just by finding a way to add a power that affects other things more than it affects Whirlwind, which is a neat way to do it in my opinion. Past that, we also saw our first Wrathful Heart. These are the ones that can be slotted into any Malignant socket regardless of color, and these are theoretically the strongest ones, and well, I mean, looking at this effect, it's actually pretty damn good. It cycles through one of its bonuses every 20 kills that you get, the first one being 22% bonus attack speed, which is fantastic for most builds, the second one giving core and basic skills a flat 17% chance to fully restore your primary resource, not a lucky hit chance, a flat 17% chance, meaning 1 in 6 core or basic skills that you use will fill your resource when this is active, and that is actually just nutty strong in a number of builds. Then the third bonus is simply a relatively small barrier that you can gain every 19 seconds. It doesn't list a timer on the barrier, so in theory if you land on this bonus while out of combat, it will just keep stacking on itself until you have a full health barrier, unless it just replaces itself, which is also a possibility. All that said, this Wrathful Heart is actually really strong looking. Every one of those effects is good in one way or another, and this is just one of the Wrathful Hearts. The Barb class specific one is also pretty damn strong looking too, so it makes me excited to see the other class specific options too, of course. That's it then today for the news. Quite a big meaty pile of relevant information for us on the upcoming Season 1, all dropped pretty out of nowhere, just in a nice little interview done by the devs, and some things noticed by eagle-eyed players catching a couple of still frames from the recent official content too. Every time that I see more info about Season 1, it makes me more excited. I know I'm someone who is easily hyped though by these types of things, so don't let me throw you off. We should all of course go into this season expecting things to start off a little bit slow. I mean, they said themselves that future seasons will likely be bigger, but I just really enjoy playing Diablo 4, so I know that I'll have a lot of fun with this. I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown of the sudden rush of news, and I hope it helps you prepare yourself mentally for the season that is coming up next week. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.